Hi, my name is Dr. Nicole Cutts, and I'm a clinical psychologist and organizational consultant. Now, one of the things that I do as an organizational consultant is I help organizations to improve their cultural competence. Cultural competence is important because it helps you to attract and retain the best high-quality employees and to have a high-functioning organization and team. I'm not going to go into the components right now of cultural competence, but the reason why I'm making this video is because I want to help companies out that have not known how to respond to the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis and the resultant uprisings and revolts that are happening around this country due to the continued issue of police brutality and other forms of oppression and racism that at this point, are becoming more apparent. But unfortunately, a lot of companies don't know how to respond, and I want to help you to be able to do that. Some companies I find that have not said anything to their employees are perhaps doing that because they're afraid, they feel as if they might be taking a stance in a very politicized environment. And for some of them, they might want to do something, but they don't know how. What I want to tell you, first of all, is there's a very high cost for you not responding in this situation. While you think you might be protecting yourself, what you're actually doing by not speaking to your employees about this issue is creating distrust, and you are helping to lower the motivation and to demoralize staff, because the message that they're receiving is that you are either oblivious to what's going on or that you do not care about how they might be feeling. Okay, and this is not just your African American employees, this is your employees in general. So I want to help you to know how to do this. I've had a lot of people who I've spoken to, both my organizational as well as my individual coaching clients. And the feeling that a lot of African American people are having is that their companies, by not addressing this issue, are essentially saying to them that they don't care about them, okay? And it's also modeling, in terms of emotional intelligence, it's modeling to these employees and to the rest of the organization a lack of emotional intelligence and a lack of cultural competence, because one of the main components, the three components, are awareness, knowledge, and skills, and it's very unskillful to not know how to handle these situations. So what I would suggest that you do is you address this issue with your employees. You don't have to take a stance to acknowledge something that's going on that's very prevalent in the country. If you need help to do this, there are plenty of ways to do it. You can call on me, but this is not a promotional video. I'm not trying to get business from this, okay? I want to help you to understand why this is important, okay? So what you need to do is you just need to speak to your employees. You need to say something. Okay, you don't need to take a stance, but perhaps you need to put out a message, as most organizations did when we were first hit with the coronavirus pandemic, to say, we know these are difficult times for a lot of people, and tell them what it is that you're doing. Now, if you're not doing anything, well, of course, you can't say that. But if you are doing something, then you need to let them know what you're doing. You also need to let them know what resources are available to them. Because again, by not addressing this issue, what you're basically saying is that it's not important enough, right? Or that you're not aware. Now, I know there are some companies that have said some things, and in those cases where they have, it's been very effective. I know of a law firm where they have explicitly stated their support for Black Lives Matter, they're donating money, and they're having meetings to talk about this. I worked with an accounting firm the other day where they just brought employees together to talk about how they're feeling in terms of dealing with stress, okay? So they didn't, say that we are doing this because of this or taking a particular stance. And it's a majority-owned company, a majority-owned minority company, but they did this because they're acknowledging that a lot of people are stressed. So again, if you need help, the resources are out there. Your diversity and inclusion officers should be tasked at doing this. Perhaps you have affinity groups in your organization. You can reach out to me. My information will be on this video. But again, I want you to understand that by not saying something, you really are saying something. And what you're saying is damaging to your company and to your African American employees. Okay? So, one of the things that is also going on in this climate with the people that I've talked to is sometimes the companies, in the fact that they don't know what it is that they should do, they are reaching out to their African American employees and maybe putting some of the burden or the onus on them to do something. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with talking to them to try to get some feedback as to what might be helpful, but really, as an organization, you should have something in place regarding diversity and inclusion. Okay, so it's not bad to talk to them, but really you shouldn't put the burden on them to address this issue. In these times, not being actively racist is not a part of the solution. Okay, there are many well-meaning people who feel that they're not a part of the problem because they're not overtly or actively racist. The reality is, and you've heard this before, but this is very poignant and so very true at this time, if you're not being a part of the solution, then you are in fact a part of the problem. You need to speak up. You need to let your values be known. And I'm not trying to tell you what your values need to be, but as an organization, you do need to state what those values are and you need to act on them. So if you are in fact wanting to be a part of the solution, if you do in fact sympathize with people who have been suffering under police brutality and other conditions of oppression, then you need to state that explicitly. Because otherwise, by not saying it, you're saying that you do believe in it. Thank you.